The morning fog clung to the Ardennes forest as Oberleutnant Heinrich Müller examined his latest acquisition with undisguised satisfaction. The olive-drab Willys MB Jeep had been captured intact during a successful ambush of an American reconnaissance patrol 2 days earlier. Now freshly painted with Wehrmacht crosses and sporting a mounted MG-42 machine gun, it represented a prize far more valuable than merely denying the enemy a vehicle. Müller knew what his men already understood. The American Jeep was simply the finest light military vehicle on any front of the war. The story of Germany's love affair with the American Jeep began almost from the moment these versatile vehicles appeared on the battlefields of North Africa in 1942. Field Marshal Erwin Rommel himself was among the first to recognize their value. After capturing several intact examples during the Fluid Desert campaign, he immediately appropriated a Willys Jeep for his personal use. Photographs from the period show the Desert Fox standing proudly beside his captured American vehicle, which he reportedly preferred to his standard German staff car for battlefield reconnaissance. What made the American Jeep so exceptional became immediately apparent to German mechanics tasked with examining captured examples. The simplicity of design, durability of components, and ease of maintenance stood in stark contrast to German equivalents like the Kübelwagen. Where German vehicles reflected the nation's engineering tradition with complex solutions and specialized components, the Jeep embodied American pragmatism, straightforward, standardized, and incredibly robust. The official Wehrmacht assessment of the Willys MB, completed in August 1942 and marked for command eyes only, contained praise that bordered on the heretical in the context of National Socialist propaganda about American inferiority. The enemy's light reconnaissance vehicle demonstrates exceptional design philosophy prioritizing field serviceability and mechanical reliability. Of particular note is the standardization of components and the vehicle's performance in adverse conditions. Recommend immediate study by our automotive engineers for incorporation of similar principles in future Wehrmacht vehicles. German soldiers quickly discovered what their American counterparts already knew. The Jeep could go virtually anywhere. Its high ground clearance, four-wheel drive, and remarkable traction allowed it to navigate terrain that stopped other vehicles. A captured American technical manual, translated and distributed to German motor pools, revealed design specifications that impressed even the most skeptical German engineers. The ability to climb a 60% grade, traverse a 40% side slope, and forge streams up to 18 inches deep without preparation. Unteroffizier Karl Schmidt, a vehicle mechanic with the 7th Panzer Division, documented his first encounter with a captured Jeep in his war diary. Examined the American vehicle today. Initial skepticism gave way to genuine admiration. The simplicity of the design is its genius. Any component can be accessed and replaced with basic tools. The engine started immediately despite sitting abandoned for days. Our own vehicles, while technologically advanced, require specialized knowledge and tools that are often unavailable at the front. As the war progressed, German forces developed systematic procedures for capturing and repurposing American Jeeps. Priority was given to seizing them intact rather than destroying them, particularly during ambush operations. Special commendation was even offered to units that successfully captured Jeeps without significant damage. By 1944, some Panzer reconnaissance units were offering informal rewards, usually extra, rations or schnapps, to any soldier who helped secure an undamaged. Example: the Germans' appreciation for the Jeep was most dramatically demonstrated during the Battle of the Bulge in December 1944. Operation Greif, commanded by the infamous Otto Skorzeny, involved German commandos disguised as American soldiers infiltrating behind Allied lines. While the operation is best remembered for its psychological impact and the security crisis it triggered, less well known is Skorzeny's specific instruction regarding vehicles. Acquire American Jeeps whenever possible. Their superior mobility in winter conditions is essential to our mission success. German forces had practical reasons for their admiration of the American vehicle. The Jeep's Go Devil engine, a simple but robust 134 cubic inch inline-4, proved remarkably reliable even when subjected to the low-quality fuel often available to German forces in the later war years. Unlike more sophisticated German engines, it could run on virtually any combustible liquid in emergency situations. Wehrmacht mechanics documented cases of Jeeps operating effectively on captured Russian tractor fuel, cooking oil mixed with alcohol, and even crude alcohol distilled from potatoes. The Jeep's standardization represented another significant advantage that German soldiers quickly recognized. Every Jeep was essentially identical, with interchangeable parts that could be salvaged from damaged vehicles. This contrasted sharply with German military vehicles, which often had multiple variations and upgrades even within the same model, creating persistent supply chain challenges. A German quartermaster's report from November 1943 noted, with evident frustration, American vehicles captured from different manufacturing periods still maintain complete parts compatibility. This standardization provides them significant field maintenance advantages our own diverse vehicle pool cannot match. The winter of 1944-45 offered perhaps the most convincing demonstration of the Jeep's superiority. As temperatures plunged across the Western Front, German vehicles increasingly suffered from cold weather starting problems and mechanical failures. Captured Jeeps, however, continued to operate reliably even in the most severe conditions. Hauptmann Werner Kleist, commanding a reconnaissance unit during the Ardennes offensive, reported, "Temperature this morning minus 20 degrees. None of our standard vehicles would start despite extended attempts." The captured American Jeeps required only minimal preparation and started on first attempt. We proceeded with reconnaissance using exclusively enemy vehicles. German modifications to captured Jeeps revealed both practical necessity and tactical innovation. The most common adaptation was the installation of German machine guns, typically the MG-34 or MG-42, on swivel mounts. The Jeep's sturdy frame handled the powerful German weapons better than its original design had anticipated. Some units added improvised armor plating to the vehicle's sides, though this compromised its legendary mobility. Perhaps most tellingly, German mechanics rarely attempted to modify the Jeep's core mechanical systems, recognizing that the original design was already optimized for battlefield conditions. By 1944, the Wehrmacht had formalized procedures for integrating captured Jeeps into their vehicle pools. A technical directive issued to maintenance companies provided detailed instructions for servicing and repainting seized American vehicles. Particularly notable was the instruction to maintain detailed records of captured Jeeps' performance and reliability, compared to German equivalents, an implicit acknowledgement that the American designs might offer lessons for future German vehicle development. The practical value of captured Jeeps extended beyond their superior mechanical reliability. Their ubiquitous presence in the American Army meant that German units using them could move with less risk of immediate identification. A field report from a German reconnaissance company operating in the Hürtgen forest noted, "Our patrol in the captured American vehicle was able to approach within 300 meters of an enemy position before being challenged. The vehicle's silhouette did not trigger immediate alarm as our standard reconnaissance vehicles would have. Not all German officers embraced the use of enemy vehicles. Some traditionalists considered it undignified for Wehrmacht soldiers to rely on American equipment. Others raised practical concerns about friendly fire incidents, as German aircraft and artillery had been trained to recognize the distinctive profile of the Jeep as an enemy target. These concerns were addressed through prominent marking of captured vehicles with oversized Balkenkreuz, bar-cross insignia, and, when operating near German lines, the display of specific recognition panels on the hood and rear. Despite these precautions, tragic friendly fire incidents did occur. In February 1945, a German patrol using captured Jeeps near the Siegfried Line was mistakenly attacked by their own anti-tank units, resulting in several casualties. After this incident, Field Marshal Walter Model issued a directive requiring all captured vehicles to be registered with nearby German units and to display large German flags when operating in areas where contact with friendly forces was possible. The German soldiers' appreciation for the Jeep was matched by their frustration with their own vehicle's limitations. The Volkswagen Kübelwagen, while adequate on improved roads, lacked four-wheel drive and struggled in muddy or snowy conditions. The more capable Schwimmwagen amphibious vehicle offered better off-road performance but was complex, maintenance-intensive, and produced in limited numbers. Neither could match the Jeep's combination of simplicity, durability, and all-terrain capability. A comparative assessment conducted by the Wehrmacht's Vehicle Evaluation Unit in late 1943 concluded, "The American Willys MB provides 95% of the Schwimmwagen's off-road capability, with approximately 30% of the maintenance requirements. While lacking amphibious capacity, its superior reliability and ease of repair make it more valuable in sustained operations. Regrettably, our current production vehicles do not approach its effectiveness in battlefield conditions. As Allied production capacity ramped up, Jeeps became increasingly available to American and British forces, eventually exceeding 640,000 units produced during the war. This massive production scale meant that despite German efforts to capture them, the vehicles remained abundant enough that American units rarely faced shortages. The contrast with the perpetual scarcity of German vehicles in the war's later years could not have been more stark, a tangible manifestation of the industrial disparity between the combatants. The Jeep's influence extended beyond its immediate military utility to shape German thinking about future vehicle design. In January 1945, as Germany's military situation deteriorated dramatically, the Wehrmacht's technical department still allocated resources to a comprehensive study of captured American vehicles. The resulting report, which survived the war, contained this revealing conclusion. The enemy's approach to design, prioritizing reliability, maintainability, and adequate rather than optimal performance, has proven more suited to actual battlefield conditions than our emphasis on technical superiority and engineering refinement. Oberfeldwebel Fritz Hahnemann, who served as a maintenance chief with the 2nd Panzer Division, offered a frontline perspective in his post-war memoir. We German mechanics had been taught to value engineering sophistication and technical advancement. The American Jeep taught us a different lesson, that in war, the vehicle that can be fixed in the field with basic tools and kept running under any conditions is ultimately superior to more advanced designs that require specialized equipment and expertise. The most sincere form of German appreciation for the Jeep came in the form of direct imitation. In the final year of the war, German automotive engineers developed prototypes for a new light military vehicle that borrowed heavily from the Jeep's design philosophy. The experimental Leichter Einheitspersonenkraftwagen, light standardized personnel vehicle, featured 4-wheel drive, comparable ground clearance, and simplified maintenance access. Though the deteriorating war situation prevented its production, the technical drawings and prototype evaluations revealed unmistakable Jeep influence. As Germany approached defeat in the spring of 1945, the irony of the situation became increasingly apparent. American factories were producing Jeeps at a rate of 1 vehicle every 90 seconds, while German manufacturing struggled under the impact of strategic bombing and resource shortages. Units that had once been elite panzer formations were reduced to using captured enemy vehicles due to their own supply systems' collapse. A bitter joke circulated among German motor pool mechanics. The best German vehicle of the war was made in America. The Jeep's reputation outlasted the war itself. During the occupation of Germany, many former Wehrmacht drivers and mechanics found employment with the U.S. Army precisely because of their familiarity with the vehicles gained through using captured examples. American officers were often surprised to discover that their German drivers knew the maintenance requirements and performance characteristics of the Jeep in extraordinary detail. Decades later, at veterans' gatherings, former German soldiers would still speak with unexpected warmth about the American vehicle. Günther Reichhelm, who had served as a young officer with a Panzer reconnaissance unit, recalled in a 1985 interview, "We had a saying, the Jeep will still be running when the war is over." And we were right. The same vehicles we had tried to capture were used by the occupation forces, then by the German border police, and some are still running today. No German vehicle from that era could claim the same longevity. The ultimate testament to the Jeep's impact came in the post-war development of German military vehicles. The lessons learned from captured American Jeeps directly influenced the design of the DKW Munga and, later, the Mercedes-Benz Wolf, vehicles that prioritized reliability and serviceability over technical sophistication. When Germany rearmed within NATO, its military vehicle requirements specifically cited field maintainability and component standardization, concepts that German officers had learned to value through their wartime experience with captured Jeeps in military museums across Europe today. Visitors can still find examples of captured Jeeps bearing the faded remains of German crosses and unit insignia. Physical reminders of a time when, even in the midst of total war, Professional soldiers could recognize and appreciate superior design regardless of its origin. The American Jeep had proven itself so exceptionally reliable and capable that even the legendary German emphasis on engineering excellence gave way to pragmatic admiration. The story of German forces capturing and using American Jeeps represents more than just an interesting historical footnote. It illustrates a fundamental truth about warfare, that practical effectiveness ultimately matters more than technical sophistication or theoretical superiority. In the challenging conditions of actual combat, the simpler, more reliable solution often proves superior to more advanced alternatives. This lesson, taught by a humble American vehicle to some of the world's most sophisticated military engineers, would influence vehicle design philosophy long after the guns of World War II had fallen silent. The reputation of captured American Jeeps within German forces continued to grow through first-hand experience on the battlefield. By mid-1944, some German units had developed elaborate systems for maintaining their prized American vehicles, often prioritizing spare parts and fuel for Jeeps over their own native vehicles. A supply officer with the 2nd SS Panzer Division noted in his logbook, "Requisition priorities now include separate allocation for captured American vehicles. Mechanics insist these must receive priority for scarce lubricants and fuel due to their superior utility in current operations." The true extent of German reliance on captured Jeeps remained largely unknown to Allied commanders until the discovery of a classified German document in an abandoned headquarters near Caen following the Normandy invasion. The document, a monthly motor pool inventory from a panzer division, revealed that over 30% of the unit's operational light vehicles were captured Willys MBs and Ford GPWs. More shocking to Allied intelligence officers was the document's maintenance appendix, which showed significantly higher operational readiness rates for the captured American vehicles compared to German equivalents. Colonel Robert Titus, an American intelligence officer who analyzed the captured records, wrote in his assessment, "Evidence suggests enemy forces are not merely using our vehicles as stopgaps, but actively preferring them for critical missions. Captured maintenance logs indicate they are achieving approximately 85% operational readiness with our Jeeps, compared to roughly 60% with comparable German vehicles. This represents a significant unintended contribution to enemy mobility." German adaptations of Jeeps for specialized roles demonstrated both their versatility and the German forces' growing dependence on them. Field modifications went far beyond simple machine gun mounts. Engineering units created Jeep-mounted wire-laying systems for field communications. Artillery spotters installed radio platforms that transformed the vehicles into mobile observation posts. Most notably, some Fallschirmjäger, paratroop, units modified, captured Jeeps into lightweight weapons carriers capable of mounting the formidable 75mm PaK-40 anti-tank gun, creating impromptu tank destroyers with remarkable mobility. The German Army's Weapons Technical Service took formal interest in the Jeep phenomenon by late 1943, dispatching evaluation teams to frontline units, specifically to study captured examples in field conditions. Their reports consistently emphasized the vehicle's exceptional ground clearance, approach angles, and suspension articulation. One technical assessment from November 1943 noted, "The American vehicle maintains positive traction in conditions that immobilize our standard designs." Of particular note is the suspension system's ability to maintain wheel contact with highly irregular terrain, providing mobility in conditions previously considered impassable to wheeled vehicles. What particularly impressed German engineers was the Jeep's performance in extreme cold. The winter of 1943-44 saw temperatures on the Western Front drop well below freezing for extended periods, creating starting difficulties for most military vehicles. A report from a German motor transport company in January 1944 documented a side-by-side cold weather test. At 18 degrees C, our standard vehicles required extensive preparation, including preheating of oil and multiple starting attempts. The captured American Willys started on first attempt after sitting overnight in identical conditions. This characteristic alone makes these vehicles invaluable for winter operations. The Jeep's standardization represented another advantage that became increasingly apparent as the war progressed. While German vehicles often had multiple variants even within the same model, making parts interchange problematic, every Jeep was built to identical specifications. A maintenance report from Army Group B in February 1944 observed, American production philosophy prioritizes absolute standardization. Any component from any vehicle of the same type will fit any other without modification. This approach, while perhaps less optimized for specific conditions, provides significant logistical advantages our own diverse vehicle pool cannot match. What German forces could not have fully appreciated was how this standardization stemmed from the remarkable story of the Jeep's development. The vehicle had gone from initial concept to mass production in just 49 days, a time frame German engineers found almost impossible to believe when it was reported to them. The American ability to design a vehicle so perfectly suited to battlefield conditions on such an accelerated timeline contradicted German assumptions about American technical capabilities and industrial sophistication. For German soldiers in the field, however, such high-level considerations mattered less than practical reality. Hauptmann Friedrich Müller, commanding a reconnaissance company in Italy, wrote in his unit diary, "Our operational mobility now depends almost entirely on captured enemy vehicles. The American Jeep has proven itself superior in all terrain conditions encountered in this theater. My drivers refuse to use German vehicles when American alternatives are available, claiming the difference in reliability directly impacts their survival prospects." The phenomenon extended beyond the Wehrmacht to other German military organizations. The Waffen-SS, with its greater operational flexibility and less rigid supply regulations, became particularly active in acquiring and utilizing captured Jeeps. SS Hauptsturmführer Josef Bachmeier of the 12th SS Panzer Division Hitlerjugend documented his unit's deliberate targeting of American motor pools specifically to acquire Jeeps, rather than merely to deny them to the enemy. This focus on capturing rather than destroying Jeeps sometimes influenced tactical decisions in unexpected ways. During a fighting retreat in Normandy, a German rearguard detachment commanded by Oberleutnant Walter Schmidt made the remarkable decision to tow a damaged American Jeep while abandoning several of their own vehicles. Schmidt's after-action report justified this apparently counterintuitive choice. The American vehicle, even damaged, represented greater operational value than our intact light vehicles due to superior repair prospects with limited tools and facilities available during withdrawal operations. By early 1945, as Germany's fuel situation reached crisis levels due to Allied bombing of synthetic fuel plants, the Jeep demonstrated yet another advantage. Its relatively efficient engine provided significantly greater operational range per liter of increasingly precious fuel. A comparative fuel consumption study conducted by the Wehrmacht's Technical Service in December 1944 found that Jeeps could operate approximately 30% longer on the same fuel allocation as German equivalent vehicles, a difference that became strategically significant as Germany's supply situation deteriorated. The Jeep's influence extended beyond its direct military utility to shape German thinking about future vehicle design. Even as the Reich collapsed around them, German automotive engineers were documenting the lessons learned from captured American vehicles. A comprehensive assessment prepared in February 1945 contained this revealing conclusion. The enemy's approach to design, prioritizing reliability, maintainability, and adequate rather than optimal performance, has proven more suited to actual battlefield conditions than our emphasis on technical superiority and engineering refinement. What made this admission particularly significant was how it contradicted core principles of German engineering philosophy. German technical education had long emphasized technical excellence and sophisticated solutions. The American approach, designing for simplicity, robustness, and ease of repair, initially struck many German engineers as crude. By 1945, however, battlefield experience had forced a re-evaluation of these assumptions, with the Jeep serving as the primary catalyst for this shift in thinking. The Jeep's impact on German forces was not limited to technical considerations. It had significant psychological dimensions as well. For troops accustomed to hearing Nazi propaganda about American industrial inferiority and decadence, the undeniable quality of captured American equipment created cognitive dissonance. A German army psychologist, evaluating morale factors in late 1944, noted, increasingly, men report declining confidence in official statements regarding enemy capabilities based on their direct experience with captured equipment. The disparity between propaganda characterizations and observed reality contributes to growing skepticism regarding other official communications. This skepticism sometimes manifested in gallows humor. A joke circulated among German vehicle maintenance companies in the war's final months. The perfect German military vehicle has finally been designed. It has a Mercedes engine, Opel transmission, BMW suspension, and Daimler-Benz chassis. Unfortunately, it's manufactured in Detroit. Such humor reflected a growing recognition among German forces of the fundamental industrial disparity between the combatants, a reality made tangible through their experience with captured jeeps. The German fascination with jeeps created occasional opportunities for Allied intelligence. Recognizing the enemy's eagerness to capture these vehicles, American forces sometimes used jeeps as bait in ambush operations. More significantly, Allied intelligence services began planting sabotaged vehicles with delayed action explosive devices or subtly weakened critical components in locations where they might be captured. While the effectiveness of these operations remains difficult to assess, post-war interrogations confirmed that German units had indeed experienced several catastrophic failures in captured vehicles that were suspected to have been deliberately prepared for capture. As Allied forces pushed into Germany itself in early 1945, they encountered increasing numbers of their own vehicles being used against them. The 10th Armored Division reported capturing a German repair depot in March 1945, containing more American jeeps than German vehicles, many in various stages of repair or modification. The depot's maintenance records revealed meticulous attention to keeping these captured vehicles operational, with improvised solutions for maintaining vehicles for which no original spare parts were available. The creativity displayed by German mechanics in keeping captured jeeps running as supply lines collapse demonstrated remarkable technical ingenuity. With no access to original parts by 1945, they fabricated replacements from whatever materials were available. Brake shoes were remanufactured from leather and asbestos scavenged from bombed buildings. Fan belts were created from rubber cut from tire sidewalls. Most remarkably, some maintenance units successfully cast replacement engine components using improvised foundries. Extraordinary measures that would not have been attempted with more complex German engines. Unteroffizier Heinrich Kluge, who served as a vehicle mechanic with Army Group Center, described these efforts in his post-war memoirs. By 1945, maintaining our vehicle pool had become an exercise in pure improvisation. German vehicles with their precise tolerances and specialized components became increasingly impossible to keep operational as proper parts became unavailable. The American Jeeps, however, were designed with such generous tolerances and mechanical simplicity that we could manufacture functional replacements even under field conditions with minimal equipment. This mechanical simplicity had been a deliberate feature of the Jeep's design, reflecting American industrial philosophy that prioritized mass production and field serviceability over technical sophistication. German engineers, trained in a tradition that valued precision engineering and technical advancement, initially viewed this approach as crude. By the war's end, however, they had gained a new appreciation for design pragmatism, a shift in thinking that would influence post-war German automotive development. The German experience with captured Jeeps had significant long-term consequences for military vehicle design globally. When Germany began developing new military vehicles within NATO after the war, the requirements specifically emphasized field maintainability, component standardization, and operational reliability, priorities directly influenced by wartime experience with American designs. The famous Mercedes-Benz Unimog, developed in the post-war period, reflected many lessons learned from the Jeep while adapting them to German engineering traditions. Perhaps the most sincere form of German appreciation for the Jeep came in direct imitation. In the final year of the war, German automotive engineers developed prototypes for a new light military vehicle that borrowed heavily from the Jeep's design philosophy. The experimental Leichter Einheitspersonenkraftwagen featured four-wheel drive, comparable ground clearance, and simplified maintenance access. Though the collapsing war situation prevented its production, the technical drawings revealed unmistakable Jeep influence. In military museums across Europe today, visitors can still find examples of captured Jeeps bearing the faded remains of German crosses and unit insignia, physical reminders of a time when even in the midst of total war, professional soldiers could recognize and appreciate superior design regardless of its origin. The American Jeep had proven itself so exceptionally reliable and capable that even the legendary German emphasis on engineering excellence gave way to pragmatic admiration. The humble vehicle from Willys Overland had not only helped win the war for the Allies, but had forever changed how military vehicles would be designed, leaving a legacy that transcended national boundaries and the conflict itself. The end.